Hey guys, it's Paul. I'm back with another video on my twin motor Dolphin. This is actually twin motor Dolphin V2. I finally got V1 figured out, got some bugs worked out, and ordered a new airframe and put it all together with a looks a little better, a little cleaner. The V1 was a pretty beat up airframe. But what I wanted to go over today was just a couple of the minor upgrades I did, and then the chunk or the core of this video is going to be about making a custom lithium ion battery to fit in this back bay, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. I'll take you through all the steps. But the first thing I did different compared to V1 is I made the motor spacing a little bit wider than on this V2 than the V1. These motors are spaced out from the center hole of the nacelle to the wing root 102 millimeters versus 75 millimeters. I can't remember the exact number I used on the V1, but this just allows me to use a 7-inch prop, potentially go up to even an 8-inch prop without any worry of striking the fuselage. On V1, there was clearance, and I know clearance is clearance, but it was tight. So I spaced out the motors just a hair bit more. I'm using a DBR4 receiver from Radio Master, the 4 antennas. I know it's crazy and overkill, but trying to build this for range, and I feel like with Gemini X dual band would give me the least amount of interference capabilities for long range. It doesn't have quite the telemetry output that the BR3 has from Radio Master that can go up to 500 milliwatts, but I had one laying around and I'm like, why not? And then the other main thing I did was I added some strobe lights. So these are 1 milliwatt, no, not 1 milliwatt, 1 watt LED strobe lights. And then I've got, so with the strobe lights, I've got them running from an Arduino Nano right there, and then that's a 5-volt regulator. And then I've got it's a little weight I was testing. Then I've got a little RC switch back here. It's like an Electhawk V3 or something like that. Back here, I tucked it all in. So here's the switch I'm using. It's an Electhawk V4 RC switch. So I've got it running from the 9-volt pads on my Speedy B F405 wing, and then it's going to my 5-volt regulator, which is going to my Arduino Nano, which has the code for the strobe light blink sequence. And then I programmed on iNav a aux channel to turn this off and on because they are bright. And so I've got one on the bottom and on the top, so it's visible. Those are really the only upgrades I did. So I want to fit a battery in this little bay right here, and this is one battery I made, and I kind of mimicked the standard 4S lithium ion battery. This is a AU line, gold line 4500 S70 battery, and then this is one I made out of Reliance RS50 cells. These are great cells. Only problem is when I have battery in here and then I put the, I've got all this stuff out here now, but I put the back hatch cover on. It's just, with all this stuff out, I can get it in. Okay, so I've got the battery in, strapped in. If I put the hatch on, it stays down. I put these little side mounts on just so it has no chance of blowing off, but it's just, it rides high and I don't like it. So I'm thinking of making a lithium ion pack 4S that instead of 2x2 it would be 1x4, so just flat and wide, and I think it would fit right in there. And what I'm going to use these are EVE21700 cells, 50PL. These things are rated for 125 amp discharge, 5000 milliamp hour. These things are gonna kick. So yeah, I'll take you along for the ride. Let's go make it. All right, guys. So we're here on my workbench. Here's my 4 EVE50PL cells that we're going to use today. I'm just going to do a quick check of their voltage at rest, and hopefully they're all about the same. 3.522, 522, 521. Great, they are all right there. Fish paper and protect the positive terminal. And so these are tabless batteries, so positive terminal on top here, it's got that little lifted tab. Just gonna secure those. The key to this with the soldering iron is get your soldering iron hot and be fast, because the less time you have the soldering iron on the cell, the better. And this can be extremely dangerous to someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. If you leave the soldering iron these too much, they can get a thermal runaway and just start on fire. Really scary. So spot welder is definitely the way to go, but I don't have one, so this is what we're doing. Okay, next thing we're going to do is I'm going to give them a sand real quick. You really want to scuff up the positive and negative terminals so the solder has somewhere to go. Kind of do a circular and a cross hatch, and really scuffed up. And the positive terminal on these batteries is always way easier to solder than the negative because it's lifted from the body of the battery, and so it takes a lot less. And a cross hatch, and really scuffed up. And the positive terminal on these batteries is always way easier to solder than the negative because it's lifted from the body of the battery, and so it takes a lot less heat to melt the solder. Right, so all the tabs are adequately soldered. Next step we're going to do is we're going to take some 21700 shrink wrap and we're going to put another layer of heat shrink wrap on. These already have one, but for precaution, I'm going to put another. Get my hot glue gun warming up. Take the old heat gun and apply some heat. So now those have an extra layer of protection, because if you take off the first layer of heat shrink, that it's a bare metal can, and that is the whole can cylinder is the negative terminal, so you could easily get shorts if you get tears in your heat shrink. So adding a second layer, never a bad idea. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to organize our cells. So I'm going to have my, as I'm looking at the batteries, my positive terminal on the left and my ground on the right. So it's going to look like that, and I want to make it flat. Normally a lot of people do this setup, which I've done in the past, and make a little 2x2 brick, but I want to make it this custom fit for my twin motor Dolphin, so I'm going to organize like that. All right, I think my hot glue gun is hot. I'm just gonna do this one. Didn't get it all the way. All right. So we're gonna end up like that. Okay, and I'm just gonna add a little tape to secure it, and I get one more little bead. I always have my garage door open, so in case something bad happens, I can get outside real quick. I've got a bucket right below me with some sand in it, that if battery ever started running away, I could put it in the sand, take it outside, and just let it run its course. This is just some Emax E-tape, cloth insulating tape. Just gonna give it a little extra holding power. Right. So again, this is going to be where my main XT60 positive wire will go, and this will be where my main XT60 negative wire will go. And then we are going to connect 3 series jumpers. So basically the flow is going to start here, go down to the negative terminal. We're going to make a series connection here, flow is going to go up and over. We're going to make a series connection here, and then down to the negative. We're going to make it one final series connector here, and then end up here. So 3 series connectors. Oh, I got two tip cleaners in there. Everyone does the XT60 a little different. This is the way I like to do it. One nice trick that people have taught me is when you're doing the XT60 soldering, have the counterpart, the male plug, in, so it kind of transfer the heat out of this plug into the other plug, so you don't risk melting the pins and all that. Pretty generous with my solder, especially on these wires. I try and make it so when you're looking at the wire, I don't want to see any strands like that. I don't know if you can see that. No. Anyway, there's little strands there on this, so I'm going to hit it again real quick. And my favorite solder is this welder 2.2% flux. It's 6040. I know a lot of people like to use the 3767 or 3763, I think. But I don't know, this solder is great, works well for me. Got a pretty big tip on for the thermal mass. Positive always goes on the XT60, positive always goes on the square end in the back, and negative is always in the front. Nice and shiny. Good solder blow. Cool. That part's done. Okay, we're gonna put some blobs of solder on. It's always the I don't know, scary part. Just because you never know. I've got some tip tinner. That's as long as you should be on the cell. Not warm. If it's ever warm, give it some airflow. I'm going to do the positives first because they're way easier. As much as I'm going to do on that one, that was taking way too long. Some people use a damp cloth to cool off the cells. Always thought that was kind of sketchy, but I guess it's fine. Come back and do this one real quick. Not warm. There we go. Just precaution. It's not warm, it's not hot. I'll use my flux when I attach the jumpers. I found that sometimes if you use too much flux trying to tin these terminals, it can make the solder not stick well. That's just been my experience. I'm probably doing something wrong, but this is what's worked for me. Alright, so these all got decent amount of solder. Like I said, the negative terminals are tough. I might hit this one again real quick. Gotta be quick. Just because they demand so much heat. There we go, that's much better. Gotta really have your senses going, especially your touch. You want to make sure these cells do not feel, they might feel just barely warm, but they should never get hot. If they get hot, that's damage. I'm going to add a scotch more to this guy. Alright, so cell 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I've got I had a few pre-cut jumpers that I didn't use, but I'll probably have to make some more. So we're gonna go, that'll actually work. Those will work just fine. I'll have to make one more. Might as well keep them all red. So we're gonna go boom, boom. Just gonna put a little fresh solder on these guys. They've been sitting for a while. These jumpers I like to have a good amount of solder on them because I don't want to put any more on top of the terminals like I just did, because that's just increasing heat exposure and not really necessary. Okay, so we're gonna make this ground positive connection first. This is the flux I like to use. It's great, easy to administer. It's not like the jars where you gotta dip it in and spread it around. You can be very precise. It's pretty cheap and affordable, really, and it works well. So this is what I like to use. I'm going to start with the easy one. Put a little on top of the terminal and on the wire. So I get my stick out. So you want to make sure that other reason for adding more heat shrink on the cells is never want to touch the metal of the can. You got to be careful. Wasn't a great one. I'm gonna have to come back and hit that. Feels good. Yeah, I'll definitely have to hit that again and make it more secure. But I'll come back, let that cool, and then I'll come back and hit it. It's on there, but not as good as I like it. It's a little fast. It's not a bad thing. That looks pretty good. Okay. Now we're just going to do bottom one. Not warm, just giving it some airflow. Beautiful. All right, let's go back to this one. Right here. So what I'm going to do is add some flux to it. I'm going to give it a little more solder first. Add a little flux. And we're going to touch. Using wires, copper wire is so much better than using nickel for resistance. Much better. It is solid. Cool. Okay, so here's what everything looks like. Pretty decent. Could have done a little bit better, some of them. But they're solid. They'll work. There comes a point where you want to get good enough. You want to have as little heat on these cells as possible. So if you've got a solid looking solder, but it maybe doesn't look the most pretty, if it's going to work, just leave it. Not worth it potentially damaging the cells for a better looking solder. So all right, let's test the voltage of the whole pack and make sure we're looking good. Oops. 14.07 volts. Perfect. Okay. All right. Next thing we're gonna do is we're going to attach our XT60. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to have, since this is gonna be flat, I want my XT60 to be like this. I don't want it out here because I've got limited space on the side, so I want it coming straight out. So that's what we're gonna do. Sorry, I keep kicking the stand. Add some solder. I'm gonna clean up all this solder residue once we're done. I don't have a good stand. Once you attach this XT60, the battery is live. You have to be extremely careful about your leads touching. Okay. Looks solid. So if I touch this positive to the negative, it would create a short. That would not be good. You gotta be careful about not touching the other cells with your soldering iron as well now. That's solid. So now my XT60, it's gonna fit in just like that. It'll be perfect. Cool. All right, now we're going to attach the balance lead. So with a 4S, you're actually going to have 5 wires. You've got red going to main XT60 positive. Far right ground is going to main XT60 ground. And then the 3 in between, you can put these either on the negative terminal of each cell or the positive. It does not matter. I always attach to the positive because it's easier to solder. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, let's start with the, so I'm going to have this, let's see, have this off like this. I'll make it a little longer because it's going to be hard to charge. So let's see, let's measure about right there. I'm going to do the same for my ground. Never realize how much you shake until you start soldering. Too much coffee. I'm just gonna put this guy right on the side here. Like that. Should have done it for the other way. More solder now. Not enough. Okay. So this guy is going to go down here. So I'm just gonna thread him through. Just roll this guy. So he's gonna go down here. This one is gonna go up here, so I can cut him out there. And the last one is going to go down here to this positive. Okay. So let's solder these guys. Just gonna add some fresh solder to those. And the last one. It's a little long one. I'm just gonna move this out like this. Okay. All right, that's her. Well, I'm going to test each cell, and then we'll shrink wrap it. And that's custom EVE50PL 21700 5 amp hour lithium ion for my 12 twin motor Dolphin. Hell yeah! All right. positive on positive, and then this is cell 1, 3.52, 7.04, 10.55, 14.07. Alright, let's just double check. So we already did cell 1. That was 3.52. Okay, just move on down the line. 3.519, 3.518, 3.5116. Beautiful. Let's heat shrink this mofo. I'm gonna actually first put a little Kapton tape on. This stuff is great. It's insulating, it's high temperature resistant, will not catch on fire. Just gonna find insulate the terminals. And we'll pass. Oh. Alright guys, so I'm done with my Kapton tape. Basically all I did was protect the terminals and secure down the balance lead and the XT60. I'm just going to put a little Emax tape, cloth tape on it, again just to protect the top and bottom terminals, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Then we'll heat shrink it. Some people like to use foam pads to protect the terminals. Well, don't have much foam laying around, so this will have to do. And then I just like to go the other way just to make sure the tape stays on. Let's do one more in the middle. There she is. Well sealed. Cool. Well, let's go put it on the charger, see what it looks like. Alright guys, I got the new battery for the twin motor Dolphin on the charger. Let's see. Here's our voltages. Let's do a quick little test current, see what the resistance are saying. Okay, not bad. let's go see how it fits in our Dolphin. Alright, so here it is in my twin motor Dolphin. Fits perfect. The back hatch. Oh my gosh. Let's get these clips on. It's not like crazy better, but definitely better than